You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Fabulous.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good Sunday morning to you. A happy autumnal equinox, which hit yesterday, but today is the first full day of fall. Do you say, my name's Randall White. I'm joined by Patty Pyburn. And Patty, do you say fall or autumn?
I usually say fall.
You say fall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. It can get a little confusing sometimes, just because fall has more than one meaning. But, autumn to me sounds more
like
elegant.
A season?
Yeah, it sounds more like a season. So sometimes when I'm doing like a Facebook update or something, I'll use the
You
word
refer to it as autumn.
Autumn, right? Just so there's no confusion. At any point, great to have you with us, everyone. A good Sunday, fun day morning. And this is the time of day here live each and every week that we discuss current trends in food, beverages, travel, and tourism. And we keep it healthy and sustainable, as always. And we broadcast live from our studios right here in California. Hey, this hour of the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program is brought to you by Sunset, Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th. That is coming up and quick this week.
Yes, it is.
To culminate California Wine Month. In fact, because it's coming up this week, we will have a guest on to talk a little bit more about that coming up later in the hour. Also coming up, Patty, I'm a huge fan of walking places. When I was growing up as a kid, my mom, in an effort to get fit, started, when she would come home from work, doing a half an hour walk every night around the neighborhood,
Right.
and stayed very fit because of it. My grandmother lived into her 90s, and she, up until her late 80s, would walk from her home in Santa Rosa to there was a mall down the road from her, the Cottingtown Mall, and she told me she liked to keep up with the fashion. Well, I like to know what people are wearing and stuff. So she would go down there, and she'd also grab herself a McDonald's hamburger. That's how she'd always say it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So, but walking is a big deal. So we will have a guest on the show to talk about California cities, which ones are the most walkable, and
interesting.
Yeah, and some plans to get you out there, and how we can make some of our cities even more walkable. Because I think we've all been to places where we're like, this is not super walker friendly. And then Andrea Sachs from the Washington Post joins us later this hour. We love Andrea, and she's got I was checking out her deals yesterday. She's got some great travel bargains that you're going to want to stay tuned for. Then next hour, our compass word is fall, appropriately, and we will talk about apple juice, cider. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, but there's one type of California apple that ripens in the fall, as most apples do. But this apple, the amount of land in California that where there's orchards is shrinking and shrinking. So there are some efforts underway right now to keep that apple from going away.
Protect it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll also talk about fall produce that you can find at the markets right now, and some great ways to prepare that with a produce expert, Molly Watson. She's awesome. And then California, we are a great state for fall foliage. You may not know it, but we are. And the expert on California fall color is coming up at the end of the 9 o'clock hour, John Poimeru. His website's funny. It's California Fall Color, but at the top it says, dude, fall color happens here too, or something like that.
Because you think normally of going back east to see fall color.
You do, but no, we've got it here too. But what we have here right now is our very own Patty Pyburn, and she's got a check of the news headlines on this Sunday morning. Patty, what do we got?
Here's what we have. Some very interesting stories for all of our Eat, Drink, Explorers out there on this Sunday morning. Yogurt is yet another tool to keep your blood pressure in check, specifically the no-fat or low-fat versions, according to the American Heart Association. Findings from a recent 15-year study show long-term yogurt eaters are less likely to develop hypertension. More than 2,000 volunteers were followed, and researchers found those who ate yogurt on a regular basis were 31% less likely to develop high blood pressure. The study was funded by the National Institutes of Health. Also, we should note, though, there was a grant involved from the Dannon Company. A chemical found in the plastic lining of most canned foods, water, and soda bottles, and a variety of other consumer items is now associated with the nation's childhood obesity epidemic. According to a new study released this week by New York University, children with high levels of bisphenol A in their system are more likely to be overweight. Researchers took several variables into account, including race, education, income, and even television viewing patterns. The chemical, also known as BPA, has been a target for health advocates who worry about its possible negative effects on the body. Researchers did note they could not rule out that the obese children simply eat more BPA-tainted foods, meaning the types of foods found in these forms of packaging could be responsible and not the chemical itself. Space Shuttle Endeavour's dramatic California flyover is about to be topped by an even more intimate viewing for state residents. The NASA Icon is scheduled to pass through Los Angeles at ground level on October 12th and 13th. It's making a 2-day journey from the United Airlines hangar at LAX, where it is now, to the California Science Center. Now, the parade will take place on Southern California surface streets. That's because the shuttle cannot fit under the freeway overpasses. And as a result, hundreds of trees have been and are being cut down, and light poles are being removed to accommodate the shuttle's wingspan. And those trees, Randall, have some people really upset.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. I mean, people are like, why couldn't it take the freeway? It can't, right?
It can't. And apparently, it's just a big thing to move around. Apparently, there's going to be some money, and I'm not totally sure if it's from NASA or from the Science Center, but there will be money to replace those trees. And what the city and the people involved in this tree cutting and replacement is saying is they're going to plant more appropriate trees that don't hurt the sidewalks and infrastructure as much as the current trees. So it's supposed to be an improvement of sorts, but some people aren't buying it.
There's been a plan in Los Angeles for a while now to replace the palm trees there with trees that would be more native. When you think of LA, you think of palms.
You think about palm trees.
But they are not native to the area. So I think this might be part of that process.
Okay. All right. So moving on. More than 100 school food leaders met at the Oakland Museum Friday to discuss some new ways to get more fresh California food into the 900 million meals served to California children every year. The leaders are looking for ways to remove salt and fat-laden processed foods from school lunch menus. New federal school lunch regulations are now in effect, so California needs to improve its school lunch menus by adding healthy and seasonal foods to the cafeteria options. This new California Food for California Kids initiative is also an opportunity to support the state's agriculture and economy. All right, listen up. Char-broiled burgers.
Easy for you to say.
Yes. Char-broiled burgers, chicken, and steaks are behind much of Southern California's air pollution, according to some research being done by the University of California, Riverside. University studies show restaurants and commercial food producers who char-broil their meats emit large amounts of particulate matter. Now, according to one of the main engineers of the study, preparing just one char-broiled burger emits the same amount of pollution as an 18-wheeler.
Whoa.
Diesel engine truck driving 143 miles on the freeway. That is really hard to imagine. So, to better understand how to control this problem, the university is doing some further study with help from local air pollution control agencies.
Wow, our site is on fire right now with that story. People are hitting it from all over the globe. So
that is amazing.
Yeah, if you want more information on that study out of Riverside, head to eatdrinkexplore.com right now. You can read updates on all of Patty's news there in a little bit longer format. All right, Patty, thank you. Stick around, everyone, because right after the break, we're talking walking in California. Back in just a moment. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the Vine to Glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com.
The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. And a very good morning, everyone. I'm sending out a tweet right here quickly on our Twitter account to an Andrew, let's see, how do you pronounce that last name? Schlegelmilch, I think is his last name. And he's responding to our story on the burgers, the charbroiled burgers.
Are contributing particulate matter into the air.
Yeah, he says, but the pollution smells like burgers. And you have to admit, that's a lot better than diesel trucks.
I couldn't agree more.
And I've thought about it so many times as I have been passing a restaurant, or even sometimes down in Los Angeles on the street corners, they'll be cooking up like carne asada and stuff, and you can see the big plumes of smoke coming up, and I always think, oh, that can't be good. But the smell sure is.
Smells and tastes great.
I have to agree. Patty Piper joining me, my co-host, and the gal is 1 year older today. We won't say what.
Thanks for reminding me.
Age that is, but we're the same age. So we're the same age.
Today we're the same age.
Yes. So happy birthday, Patty Pyburn.
I like the first half of the year where I'm not as old as you.
My parents do that every year. They tease each other back and forth, on that same level. So anyway, welcome everyone to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network on this Sunday morning. We are live. You don't hear that a lot on the weekends. And so we're actually sitting here in our studio. I wish there was
living and breathing.
Living and breathing. It's sunny outside in San Luis. If you're watching us online or via your smartphone or tablet, you can actually see the broadcast, and you can see sun streaming in behind me because it is going to be yet another beautiful fall day, which we have so much of here on the Central Coast and California in general this time of year. It's awesome. Great weather to get out and walk. And you know, some cities are designed to do just that. When I lived in San Francisco, all I did was walk. It was easier.
Very walkable.
It was easier than getting in your car and trying to find parking,
right,
for the most part. And then even public transit got stuck in some of the gridlock that you can have in the downtown city core. And so it really sometimes was just more convenient to get on foot and walk around.
And it's good for you.
Other places, you know, Los Angeles is getting a lot better, but other places are designed for the car. And when you're walking, you feel like you're in the way constantly and dangerous in
Yes, it can be dangerous. Yes.
as well. Well, there is an effort to make California cities more walkable and on a health aspect to just get people out there walking because it is so incredibly good for you. Tony Dang joins us right now, I believe from San Francisco, with California Walks. And a very good morning to you, Tony.
Good morning, Randall. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, no, we're happy to have you here. And what is the main number one effort of California Walks?
Well, I mean, California Walks has a lot of efforts, but our mission is really to elevate the community voice in state, local, and regional decisions around investments in transportation that really intimately impact the health and safety of everybody who walks. Okay, and so what would examples of those be? Sure. Right now, California Walks is working with a number of our state partners to ensure that Caltrans, which is our State Department of Transportation, continues to fund walking, biking, and safe routes to school programs in its implementation of the recently passed federal transportation reauthorization bill. That's interesting, Tony. I'm sorry to stop you quickly there, but when the minute I think Caltrans, I think highways. You know, I don't think about walking, but right there in their name, it's transportation. It doesn't have to be the car, right? Exactly. And so California currently receives $3.5 billion in federal funds for transportation projects, and yet only 3% of those funds go currently to walking and bicycling projects.
Wow, that is not much.
And for people who walk, they actually represent 20% of traffic fatalities in California. So our major effort right now is to make sure that there's really a fair share of funding for safety to improve the safety of the people who are walking in California. Did you say that pedestrians make up 20% of traffic fatalities? That's correct. Wow. And combined with bicycling, walking and bicycling represent nearly 15% of travel modes. So even though that's a small percentage of travel modes, they're overrepresented in the number of traffic fatalities, I should say.
And you think there would be a motivation to make walking and biking both happen more, because we know that helps with, we were just talking about particulate matter, but it really helps air quality in cities.
It does.
So when you're looking at a city and its walkability, what's the criteria? What are you taking into account?
So one of our major focuses is to make sure that communities that are more greatly impacted by pedestrian fatalities, so that's generally communities of color, communities where there's concentrations of older adults or children, or low-income communities, we try to focus our efforts in those communities. So we conduct community pedestrian safety workshops in those communities to help bring together local elected officials along with law enforcement, residents, and traffic engineers in order to take them and do a sort of walkability assessment of their community. And from those walkability assessments, we can then start to come up with an action-oriented pedestrian safety plan.
And Tony, as I understand it, when a city is more walkable, it is also far more desirable to tourists, and business tends to do better as well.
Yeah, there are just so many benefits of having a walkable community. I think most recently the real estate community has recognized that having a community that's walkable, meaning that having a community with multiple destinations that you can get to on foot, really increases property values and really increases tourism.
So, Tony, what sort of tools do you have for people that would like to get more involved in helping their community? Are there some online things they can just easily grab?
Well, you can always go to our website, californiawalks.org, and California Walks runs a network of local organizations. So, for example, in Santa Cruz, there's Mission Pedestrian. In Santa Barbara, there's Santa Barbara Walks. And you can contact your local walking advocacy organization to get involved in local efforts. And if you're interested in starting your own local walking advocacy organization, please feel free to contact us and we can help get you started.
So you help people in their own community start to work in that direction to improve walkability then?
That's correct.
I like that. And, Patty and I are here in San Luis Obispo this morning, which is a great city when it comes to walking. You can really get around this town very easily on foot. We don't have one of those organizations like they have in Santa Cruz or Santa Barbara, though.
Yeah, and so I believe the County Department of Public Health in San Luis Obispo is starting a project around pedestrian safety for older adults, and we're currently talking with them and to see how we can get involved and help with the local efforts there.
Tony, I saw something on your site in regards to San Jose. There are some efforts down there. I don't think of San Jose. I think of San Jose sometimes the way I think of Los Angeles when it comes to walkability, but that's changing.
It's changing slowly. I'm actually originally from San Jose.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I definitely know what you're talking about. And so the project that we're working on there is we're working with a senior center and a youth center to get those two populations engaged in trying to improve the conditions, the walking conditions in their neighborhoods. And fortunately for San Jose, the city council recently approved $900,000 per year for the next 5 years to be dedicated to pedestrian safety improvements.
Oh, great.
So we want to make sure that these dollars really go to communities in greatest need in San Jose.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for sharing your information on walking in California. And people can get more information at, it's really simple, californiawalks.org, correct?
That's correct.
Tony, make it a great day. Get out there and do some walking on this first full day of fall.
Thank you.
And I should let people know, Patty, because I forgot to do this off the very top of the hour, but this portion of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by Eberly Winery in Paso Robles, open daily from 10 until 6 p.m. with complimentary wine tasting and cave tours, voted by Wine Spectator as one of the best tours on the Central Coast. Eberly Winery, located on 46 East in Paso Robles. You can log on to eberlywinery.com, and it's a Sunday. Why not head into Paso if you're in the neighborhood and say a big hello to them. Okay, stick around because speaking of the Paso Robles area and San Luis Obispo County in general, the big Savor the Central Coast is coming up. It starts this week, and we have one of the main women behind it. She is just walked into the studio, as a matter of fact, and we'll join her in just a bit. It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. And a very good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio on this beautiful, it really is a beautiful fall morning and or autumn morning,
Depending
on how you say it. I am your host, Randall White, joined by the lovely and talented Patty Pyburn each and every week at this time. And Patty, what do you like to do in the fall?
the same stuff I do every year.
All throughout the year.
Pretend that I'm not having a birthday.
That's right. It's Patty's
I actually
birthday.
enjoy, it starts to cool off a bit, and I like the food. I like fall food. I just made squash last night. In fact.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
We have a guest coming up next hour to talk about buying what's fresh and local and in season and that sort of thing.
So some of my favorite foods are fall foods. I like soup and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. For me in California, the weather can't be better this time of year. End of September throughout October. It is the perfect time of year to throw some sort of festival or maybe even like 4 days of festivals. And that is what is happening in San Luis Obispo County. You've heard us talk about it here on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio quite a bit. It is Sunset Savor the Central Coast. This is the third annual, and it's bigger and better than ever. Stacy Jacob joins us right now. She is with the San Luis Obispo County Visitor and Convention Bureau and one of the driving forces behind this year's Savor event. Welcome to the program, Stacy.
Thanks, Randall.
Yeah,
good morning.
Good morning. And I mean, it's really easy to brag about Central Coast living and all we have to offer. I know this is not an easy event to put together, but it must be easy to come up with ideas because there's so much coming at you.
Oh my goodness. The brainstorming for this event never ends. Sunset Savor the Central Coast is truly an extravaganza of 4 days of events happening. And let me tell you, we're already thinking of ideas for next year.
Good.
Because there gets to a certain point where you have to stop the brainstorming and you have to start the implementation so we can make it happen. Because it's like we create a small village out on this open ranch at Santa Margarita to put this on for everybody. So it's really very exciting.
So for people who enjoy Sunset Magazine, I'm one. I've been a subscriber for years, and I mean maybe even decades. I don't want to date myself, but
long time.
Yeah, I've been getting Sunset for a long time. Just to give people an idea in their heads, it's basically Sunset Magazine come to life for 4 days.
You're absolutely right. Sunset Magazine started talking to us several years ago about bringing their food and wine pages to life. And they were so intrigued by the Central Coast, particularly what we have right here in San Luis Obispo County, because they felt like this is still the kind of pristine, untouched part of California. Yeah. And that's really what their brand truly emulates.
And I love that while it is definitely a San Luis Obispo County focused event. You bring in neighboring wine regions like Monterey, for instance.
Absolutely. So we'll have wines from Monterey to Santa Maria down to Santa Barbara, because it really is the breadth and we love and enjoy living here, the different microclimates and that diversity of wines, why the Paso wines are big, bold, and juicy, and why the Edna Valley wines are these more cooler climate Pinot Noirs that you get from that area. You're going to be able to have a chance to explore the diversity of the Central Coast all in one place.
So obviously it's all about food and wine and the bounty of the Central Coast, but what are some of the really cool highlights that are going to be different this year?
Well, let me tell you, it's about food and wine, but it's also about how you can grow your own food. So we're going to have a really special 2-acre demonstration garden that Sage Landscapes has been actively working on over the past couple of weeks out at the ranch. And we are going to have a vegetable spiral garden. There is a section that is a berry pie farm section of this garden. And so this garden is going to give you truly how-to type of tips that you can then come, explore, learn, and then take home with you.
Doesn't Sunset have like a demonstration garden at their campus in Menlo Park?
They do.
So it's like an extension of that, sort of?
It is kind of like an extension of that. I mean, they maintain theirs year-round. We put ours together particularly for the event. But it really is. We work very closely with Julie Chai, the garden editor. And so she has seen all the plans. She works intimately with us in developing these. And she's going to be on site on Saturday at the main event to really talk about and give some of her tips that she sees about gardening across the West Coast.
Now, for this main event, you have all of this fresh produce that is literally grown on site for a festival. That's got to be one of the only in the country that does something to that level. And then you have a lineup of celebrity chefs to work with this fresh produce like I've never seen before. I know in past years you had like Kat Cora, I forget who it was the year before, but you had like a featured chef. Now there's so many.
Yeah, so the first year we started with Tyler Florence.
That's right, Tyler.
Last year was Kat Cora, and this year we said, gosh, one celebrity chef just isn't enough anymore. So we went from
all
one
that brainstorming.
Exactly. It got out of control. But 1 to 4 celebrity chefs this year. So we are so excited to invite Susan Feniger, who will be here on Saturday.
Right. Out of LA and Las Vegas, right?
That's right. And she's got a new book out that's happening right now. And she's coming through her partnership with Mandalay Bay.
Oh, good.
We also have Artie Sequeira with the Food Network and Artie's Party. Artie's coming back. She debuted last year for us on Sunday. She's back again. We're so excited. Everybody loves Artie. She's just this friendly, warm face, and really kind of brings that whole Indian cuisine style into the modern day era. So it's going to be really fun to see her again. And then on Sunday, we are bringing Rick Muin of Top Chef and Mandalay Bay will be with us on Sunday morning. And of course, the infamous Ted Allen. He will be here Sunday afternoon.
And then we're having yet another, because there's even more chefs than that.
That's right. There's even more.
Right. We will have one of the guests on the show. I'm trying to remember.
Chef Nathan Lyon.
Nathan, right, is coming to join us. And he has a new book out as well.
He does. And his book is very much about what we emulate here on the Central Coast and throughout California. The fact that great food starts fresh. Yeah. And so he will be with us. And he's actually a friend of Artie's. And I learned just recently he was actually here the year 1 helping out the gentleman that we had the first year. So it's really a fun way to see all of this come together.
That is amazing. And so we're just talking about the main event at Santa Margarita Ranch. Then you have events taking
like
place
other satellite events, right?
All over.
That's right. So let's just talk through what the 4 days really. We're going to kick off at Hearst Castle that I know you were talking a little bit about earlier. And that event is sold out right now. So beg, borrow, and steal a ticket from somebody who's not going to be using theirs. It is the party of the year. Let me tell you.
How often do you get to just hang out at the castle the way that William Randolph Hearst guests would have?
Yeah, it's a pretty special night. And we're just so thankful and so excited about the partnership with the Hearst Castle and the Friends of Hearst Castle for that particular evening.
And fresh local food being served there and local wines.
That's right. We'll be working with Chef Megan Loring that night. She's putting the whole spread together. She's now with Lido Restaurant down in Pismo Beach. Yeah. So it's going to be a extravaganza. And I can't think of a better setting.
And then you're bringing the Sunset West Coast Wine Awards back to Pismo again?
That's right. So Friday during the day, we'll be doing a series of adventure tours. So folks who have signed up and planned in advance, there's about 8 different tours happening, small features throughout the county, everything from the abalone farm to oyster farming to geocaching at Santa Margarita Ranch.
What is geocaching?
It's like a treasure hunt, right?
It is. It's like a live treasure hunt. So we're going to go out and really learn about the history, the sustainable agriculture, and of course the wine that's happening, and maybe a little zip lining too. You know, they've got those fun adventures out there right now.
I want to give
exciting.
You mentioned the abalone farm. I just want to give a shout out to my friend Brad. He's out there, and what a great guy. I know this one is sold out also. He can't give tours on a regular basis. They have to be special events, and so just because of the rules surrounding the coast, and this is one of those options where you get to go there and see it and check it out.
That's right. His tour, we've been doing it for 3 years now since Savor started, and it's very, very popular, and exactly for that reason. So people want to learn about what farm-raised abalone really means, and it's a pretty interesting opportunity.
It is. It's so amazing. And so then
Friday night is the International Wine Competition and dinner at Pismo Beach.
And it's a dinner this year. It was like a sampling last year.
That's right. So we've actually taken and we've put together both a reception. So those of you who just want to come and sample the wines, you still have an opportunity to do that. There's still a few tickets left. The dinner is sold out, but this gives you an opportunity to taste the wines, come sit down with Sunset editors, and really experience the wines with food. And then we've got DJ Fuse coming from LA, and we've got a really fun after party that's happening.
Nice.
So Friday night, Pismo Beach is the place to be.
What a nice position to be in when all of your events are selling out.
Yes.
It's pretty exciting, yeah. But let me tell you, the opportunity is still the main event. I tell people, don't underestimate the main event. We've heard people call this pure indulgence for adults. There is so much going on that actually we tell people it's almost a 2-day opportunity. There's so much to do between seminars from the celebrity chefs we spoke about, to the free seminars at the Farmers Market Tamil area, to the Garden Kitchen area, as well as just to come hang out in the Estrada Garden and listen to our local talent. We've got a whole series of music that's happening,
and all the sampling that you get to do is just amazing. All the tasting,
and you can buy it as a 2-day event, right?
You can. So you can buy a day pass for $85 or a weekend pass for $150.
And while some people might hear that and go, "Whoa, wait!" for an event. This is an event. I mean, there's so much going on.
There really is, and I tell people, come hungry. Because of your point, there's so much sampling that's going on.
So much sampling.
Come ready to really broaden your horizons in terms of maybe if you're not used to having a food prepared a certain way, here you can taste and really ask the chef questions. Ask why they prepared it in a certain way. You can talk to the winemakers. They're going to be on hand as well.
And Stacey, if you've never been out to Santa Margarita Ranch, that alone is a reason to go to the Savor event, because
it's such a great place.
Yeah,
and
so much history.
that building that's there that was from the mission days. Mm-hmm. It was a mission outpost. The big barn and everything. There's so much history there.
Thick walls, because that's how they
cool.
Kept the air cool or warm or whatever.
Temperature control, climate control back then.
The ranch owners have restored the Austenstensia, and that becomes our Chef Central. So that is where all the celebrity chefs will be doing their demonstrations. So it is a very, very special place. We haven't even spoken about the fact that Infiniti will be there, and they'll be doing a test drive of their new latest cars down on the airstrip at the ranch.
Oh, there's an airstrip at the ranch?
There's an airstrip at the ranch.
Okay. So we are talking Savor the Central Coast. So easy to find online. It's savorcentralcoast.com, or it's splashed all over the Eat, Drink, Explore website. If you just go to our site and check out our program summary, you can watch this segment again there. You can go ahead and click through. It's that easy. Stacey Jacob with the San Luis Obispo County Visitor and Convention Bureau. Thanks for joining us live this morning.
Thanks so much. We'll see you at Savor.
Absolutely. And stick around. Our popular travel deals segment is next with the Washington Post.
The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the vine-to-glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly.
You waited all week, and it's finally here. The Eat, Drink, Explore Weekly Travel Deals Extravaganza.
And a good day, everyone. I'm your host, Randall White. It is time to hear insight from the best of the best, the gurus of bargains, the luminaries of budget travel. And this week, we are showing you how to become a travel expert when getting
Love
those
it.
great deals. And we do it by tapping the knowledge of our favorite guest. Well, I shouldn't say our favorite. One of our favorite guests. I don't want to offend our other ones.
That's right.
Andrea Sachs with the Washington Post. She's always a joy to have on the show. And welcome, Andrea. Are you there? Andrea? Oh.
We must have lost her.
Oh, we lost her. Darn it. Well, I can tell you that she will start. I'll start out for her.
Okay.
There are, let's see, a 9-night. This sounds really fun to me, actually. Antarctic whale photo safari cruise.
Ooh, how cool.
Right. So the whole point of this, it's one of those luxury cruises. It's just a 68 passenger ship. And it is departing March 1st. So you have plenty of time to plan. And it is, when you cruise, each passenger has to pay. In this case, the second passenger saves half. 50,
Oh, nice.
50%
That's a good
off.
deal.
And so it's a savings of nearly $4,000. And Andrea Sachs does join us on the line now. Andrea, hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry, we kicked you right off the line there.
I know, and I was such a good little dog. I just sat here and waited.
We love having you on the show, Andrea. We've already spoken of the Antarctic whale photo safari through Ocean Nova. Is that the name of the company? No, Adventure Life.
Correct, yes. Ocean Nova is the ship. It fits 68 people, but the company is called Adventure Life.
I see. Okay. And I should mention that all of these are listed. We have a link for the Washington Post travel section, What's the Deal, to get more in-depth on each one of these. But let's head to the Azamara Club cruises and talk about that one a little bit.
Okay, that one's great. What I like about this week is we stay away from the Caribbean deals. There's so many of them, especially now that people are thinking about winter travel and things like that. But this one's so exotic, and South America is so fascinating. Mm-hmm. So this one is called The Best of Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina.
Ooh.
And it leaves January 5th. And you save about close to $1,500 on this one.
Nice.
So it's 50% off.
And this is one of those cruises where you really take advantage of the land tours available, I would imagine.
Yeah, this one is kind of like this is your transportation. Like some of them you stay on the boat and you're like, oh, there's a slip of land, and then you don't really get off.
Right.
But this one you definitely want to get off. 'Cause at least from Rio, and you're going to like 3 amazing countries.
I've done that in Mazatlan, actually, where I just didn't get off the ship. Well, I did. I went into that little cruise port area and had like a margarita and then got back on the ship.
Yeah, that's what people do.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so one place I've always wanted to cruise, Patty, I don't know about you, but is Norway.
Oh, I would
That
love
would be a
to.
cool one.
Also, that must be such beautiful scenery. I haven't done that, but this one it's 30% savings. I'm going to mangle the name of the company. I apologize. Is it Hurtigruten?
Hurtigruten. I think you just have to say it sort of with a Norwegian, the Viking.
There you go.
I know. It sounds like a puffin burger or something.
Right.
But yes, it's on Hurtigruten, and it's 30% savings. It's an 11-night Norwegian Coast Voyages cruise departing November through March, and it departs from Bergen. But there are a variety of ones that are on sale. So we just have one example, but there are loads of them that might match your departure date.
All right,
better.
so let's put the ships aside for a second and talk land. And a lot of people talking, this is 2012, Patty, right? And so a lot of people talking about the big Mayan calendar thing. And some people want to actually be down in that general area of the country
For whatever happens.
Doomsday, right?
For your final vacation. I know, it's almost like your last supper. Where do you want your last vacation to be?
So put it on a credit card.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I feel like go beyond your credit, like go beyond your limit.
Right.
Live it
Tomorrow
up.
you don't have to pay for it.
And so this is a $100 per night savings.
Yep, it's another one I'm going to mangle. Apologize to
Ka'ana?
the company. Is it Kanana? That sounds like banana.
I think it's Ka'ana.
Ka'ana? Very nice.
Ka'ana. I don't know. That sounds Hawaiian,
I know.
but it's Belize.
But whatever sounds pretty to our ears.
Right.
Ka'ana, Belize. It's a boutique resort in the Cayo district. And they're offering $100 off per night, which is amazing because usually it's $100 off the whole stay. And you can stay in a suite and pay $275 a night.
Wow.
So for 4 nights, it comes to $1,300 with taxes.
And Belize is a place that I always have wanted to go and haven't done that yet, but it is definitely on my list.
They speak English there.
They do.
Yeah, and a beautiful place. All right, where are we heading next? Aruba?
We are, and this is, I love these ones where they get clever and they use hurricanes and weather as the basis of their deals. I don't know, I just find it so winsome. But this one is called, what do they call it? It's the Hurricane Free Escape.
Oh.
So it's in Aruba. So there's kind of a catch because Aruba is outside of the hurricane belt.
Uh-huh.
But the Westin property is saying if it rains for 3 hours or more, they'll give you a $74 credit on beverages and and food.
So you're actually like hoping for rain.
It's a rain. That's a rain check that I'd like to get.
I know. And you need it. Like, it's so hot, and with the sun beating down, you kind of need that 3 hour. Like, you can take a nap while it rains, and you make $74. So I kind of hope it rains just for 3 hours and then it stops so people get their credit.
All right, Andrea, we have 2 minutes to get through your last two here, and one of them is AirTran. Now, I noticed the deals that you listed, and, rightly so for the Washington Post, you picked airports that are right there in the Washington metro area.
Yeah, everyone just has to move here. That's what we're trying to do.
But this AirTran deal is system-wide, isn't it?
It really is, and when I was looking at this deal and searching it out, they did have flights to the West Coast. I think L.A. was on one of their lists.
Oh, okay, good.
For deals.
I have flown AirTran out of, I can't remember if it was Oakland or San Francisco, but it was a great deal. And they had Wi-Fi on board.
Oh,
They
that's
do,
I love
yeah.
that.
I just flew them to Vegas, and they're just efficient because now they're owned by Southwest, so they have that Southwest swiftness.
Feel.
They're just all business. But
Yeah.
funny, they're a nice crew.
They are funny. I like that. And then
Yeah.
your final one is, I would love to take this. Head to the coast in Italy. Is it the Amalfi Coast?
It is Amalfi. That one I can pronounce.
Oh, good.
So I don't have to offend Italy. I'm glad I don't have to offend an entire country. But yes, the Amalfi Coast, and it's 40% off an 8-day winter package. And it's through this company called Central Holidays. I could pronounce that too. And it starts at $1,999 per person, and it includes so much. It includes round-trip air from New York, but they have add-on fares from the West Coast. Like a lot of the major cities, you can get add-on fare.
Wow.
And it has all your accommodations. It has cooking demos. It has tours, including visiting a buffalo mozzarella factory, a limoncello factory.
That's cool.
So it's good for foodies.
I'm
Very
sold.
cool. I know.
As I always am, Andrea Sachs, travel writer for the Washington Post, the weekly What's the Deal column. We have a link at eatdrinkexplore.com. Andrea, sorry we didn't have you right off the top there, but it was great that we finally got to speak with you.
Oh, no worries. I'll just sit here until next month.
Okay. I love her, don't you? Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
I'll have to tell you about a text she sent me this week, and it was one of those autocorrect things that messed it up. It was really funny. Okay, anyway, we have a full hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio straight ahead. It's our Compass Hour, and the word this week is fall, appropriately so. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good autumn morning to you. First full day of autumn, and it is a beauty outside here on the Central Coast and throughout the state, as I understand. I am your host, Randall White, joined by the lovely, talented Patty Pyburn on her
Good morning.
birthday.
Yes, indeed.
Happy birthday, Patty.
Thank you.
Hey, back to our Sunset Savor the Central Coast. We have on the line with us right now Margot True. She's the food editor there at Sunset Magazine. What a great job to have, huh?
Yeah.
It is.
Hi, Margot. As I understand it, you've been with Savor since the get-go.
Yes, this is our third year, and it's shaping up to be a really excellent one.
And you will be hosting a seminar there at Santa Margarita Ranch on Santa Maria-style barbecue.
Yes, this is one of my favorite things to eat, and it's part of what I love about it is the history. You know, it has its roots in Mexico-era California. I mean, before it even was California, back in the days of the ranchos and the missions.
It does. And so if I understand this correctly, because you've become, over the last 3 years, you've become quite the expert on it, right?
Well, let's just say I've eaten a lot of meat.
Right? So in order for it to be true Santa Maria-style barbecue, first of all, you have to do it over a certain type of wood.
Yes, you have to use red oak. Up here at Sunset, where we're not blessed by tons and tons of red oak trees like you are on the Central Coast, we've used red oak chips, and we've tried doing without red oak at all, just using regular hardwood. And even using the chips makes a huge difference.
Really?
And then when you're actually in Santa Maria country and can use the whole logs, that's the best. It really does season the meat and anything you put over it in a particular way.
Different heat, too.
Yeah, and it just gives it a certain flavor that you don't get otherwise. But something else about it is something that I discovered moving to this part of California is tri-tip. So many people say, what is tri-tip?
Oh, I know. Well, I lived in New York for about 11 years, and I'm from California originally, and I asked my neighborhood butcher for a tri-tip. Probably the first or second month I was there, and he said, "Lady, we don't know what that is." This is very sad. You know, I realize that this is not a cut that traveled. Now you're starting to see it outside the Central Coast and outside California too, but it's taken a long time, and I still feel like it's relatively undiscovered.
It is. I did see it at a Costco in Wisconsin,
and
it said on the label, it said, and it was one of the pre-seasoned kind. It said Santa Maria style tri-tip, and I thought, wow, boy, have we come a long way. When I went to college at Cal Poly in the late '80s, that was when I first was introduced to this Santa Maria. You know, I think they just called it tri-tip. I didn't hear the branding portion of it, but I noticed that it always came served with certain accoutrements.
Yes, and in fact, the Santa Maria Chamber of Commerce has copyrighted this plate of food.
Really?
Yes, they're so proud of it that they've actually fixed it in time and space. It's either tri-tip or top block sirloin, which actually was what people used to cook for Santa Maria style barbecue before the 1950s. Tri-tip was invented more or less by a local butcher in the 50s. And he was just a very clever guy who figured out how to market this little 2 to 3 pound hunk of meat that nobody seemed to want. The butchers would take it home.
I love it. Hey, Margot, people are going to have to check out your seminar there at Santa Margarita Ranch to get all of the accoutrements and that sort of thing, because we're out of time for this segment. But that's a good tease. And now people can go
to find out more.
Just one of the many aspects of all the food there available at Savor, right?
That's right, and they should definitely come because Frank Ostini from the Hitching Post and Pascal Godet from the Alisal Ranch are going to be my guest experts, and we're going to have a great time at Savor the Central Coast. Check it out.
Margot True, food editor at Sunset. It is Sunset, SavorCentralCoast.com. Thank you, or just SavorCentralCoast.com. Thank you, Margot.
You're welcome.
All right, we're back with the full show in just a moment.
Eat, Drink, Explore Media is your lifestyle information source. Our focus, food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism trends, with a slant towards sustainable and healthy options. Whether it's hot deals or tips for hotels and flights, an update on what's currently fresh at your local farmer's market, or the latest restaurant and beverage news, we've got you covered from 8 to 10 each and every Saturday morning. Live on Crush 92.5 in San Luis Obispo County and online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Also, check out our new free smartphone and tablet app. Simply search 3 words, Eat, Drink, Explore, either in Google Play on your Android device or in the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. This free app gives you access to contests, past radio segments, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and you can watch live video of the radio broadcast while listening to it here on The Crush. Eat, Drink, Explore Media, your source for the lifestyle you love.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Fabulous.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good morning, everyone. Glad you could join us here for the show today on the first full day of fall or autumn. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are coming to you live from California's beautiful Central Coast. Each week, we bring you current information on food, beverage, and travel trends so you can truly just get the most out of your leisure time and your lifestyle. You know, we want to help you out. This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by Sunset Savor the Central Coast, which starts this week. The West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th. So what is that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, coming up to culminate California Wine Month. Oh, Wine Month is coming to an end.
It never ends, Randall. It never ends.
It's wine year, we'll just say. Okay, so based on... well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is our Compass Hour. It is a fun spin on the typical talk show. All of our guests for the hour, all the topics, everything tied together with one word. And this week, it is fall. That is our Compass word. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so based on that word, that's where I was getting originally.
That's where you were heading.
We have a series of guests, and let me just pull out my cheat sheet here. We start off with an apple that ripens in the fall, and it is great for making cider, apple juice, and I don't really know the difference between the two. I'm not sure that there is a difference between the two.
Maybe we can ask our expert and find out if there is.
There's one problem, though. It's not a big money maker, and so where this is grown, grapes happen to grow really well, too.
So it's got some competition?
Yeah, and it's been getting squeezed out for some while now, and... but there's an effort underway to save this apple, and we'll let you know all about that. It's one of my favorites, actually. I grew up eating these. And then we head to San Francisco, where one Molly Watson joins us. She is an expert on eating in season, and so she'll have the fruits and vegetables that ripen this time of year and how you can incorporate them into your diets. There's some really fun fruits that come out in the fall.
Right.
And then finally, we round the whole thing out with California Fall Color. And you might think of New England or the Colorado Rockies or something.
Sure.
When you think of Fall Color, but think again. California has some of the best and most diverse color in the country.
Okay.
And so our guest, John Poimaru with CaliforniaFallColor.com will join us to tell us a little bit about that. But as we like to do this time of the show, we like to have ourselves a little trivia smackdown. I need a little smack noise, like a whack. And this is where Patty and I test each other's knowledge of whatever the compass word might be, and the word is fall today, as we just mentioned. And so, Patty, I let you go first, as always.
So your turn. You go first this time.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
No, if you want, I'll break the trend. No, you know what? It's Patty's birthday today.
Oh, okay.
And so, Patty, you have to go first. So
okay.
Go ahead and ask away.
In keeping with our fall theme and the upcoming segment on California Fall Color, in the fall, why do the leaves on the trees change color, Randall White?
I know it has something to do, like the colors are actually in the leaves all the time, but they're blocked by something. and it's one of those words like, oh, I just ran out of time. It starts with a C.
Yeah, they are blocked by sun. So shorter days, less sunlight, less water. Photosynthesis slows down, and there's less chlorophyll. And that's what gives them their green color and masks other components in the leaves that are the true colors really start to come out in fall.
So I'm just going to have to give myself that because I couldn't come up with the word chlorophyll. All right, Patty, how is the harvest moon determined? It is the harvest moon is, well, I'll just let you guess.
Okay,
the harvest moon
is, I believe, the biggest. It's the closest at that point, right? The biggest moon. Is that right? No?
No, I'm sorry, Patty. The harvest moon is the full moon. So you're right. It's full, but it's not necessarily the largest. Like the moon's not closer to the Earth as we just had one of those kind. I forget what those are called. But at any rate, it is the full moon that appears closest to the autumnal equinox, which happened yesterday morning. It's called a super harvest moon if it falls on the same day as the first day of fall. So had there been a full moon yesterday, it would have been a super harvest moon.
Yeah, and there definitely was not a full moon.
No.
Oh, okay.
This year, the harvest moon occurs on September the 29th, so that's just a few days away. It's this Thursday, actually, evening into Friday. The harvest moon is also known as the wine moon. I love that, especially in these neck of the woods, right? The singing moon, the blue corn moon, and the elk call moon. Can you give us your best elk call, Patty?
Not
at all. Anyway, there's your harvest moon details.
Okay, interesting. All right, so back to fall leaves.
Okay.
So we were talking about how chlorophyll masks their color. So what gives the leaves their red color? Some leaves start to appear red in the fall. And what is that from?
So we've already talked about the chlorophyll.
So it's not chlorophyll. It's something else. It's food. It's glucose that becomes trapped in the dying leaf. And the brown is from waste that's trapped in the dying leaf.
So it's the glucose is what turns.
It doesn't get to go back to the tree as the leaf starts to be cut off from the tree. The process slows down, and you see the red.
Okay, I wouldn't have known that. I just, but that's interesting because I love fall color, and I can't wait to speak with our guest later this hour about
to learn more about where to see it in California.
Some of the hot spots, exactly. Yeah. And so. The term fall, Patty, is a shortened version of an old English expression, fall of the leaf. So that used to be the expression.
Right.
That's why we say fall. We just dropped off the of the leaf portion.
And it became just fall.
To describe the season. Prior to the fall of the leaf expression, what was the season called?
And I read something about this when I was looking for my trivia question, so I believe that one of the alternate was fall of the year, but I don't know if that preceded it.
No. Sorry, Patty.
What is it?
Harvest. It was just called the harvest season.
It's called harvest.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So as English spread to the New World, so it was called harvest in Britain and English-speaking countries at that time. And then they started saying fall of the leaf. It became popular, and then they dropped the of the leaf, and it just became fall. But as we came over to settle the United States, fall of the leaf was popular at that time. So we kept saying fall here in the U.S.,
fall.
Right? But then in Britain, that dropped out of fashion, and they started saying autumn. And so if you travel over to Europe, almost exclusively they say
it's
autumn.
referred to as autumn.
They almost never say fall, even though that expression started there.
Interesting.
And then in the United States, you hear autumn from time to time, but far more often you hear
fall.
Fall. So that's sort of interesting, I thought.
That is interesting.
Anyway, Patty, we have can you get one of yours out
really
in 30
quickly,
seconds?
What
Yes.
do fall leaves have in common with purple grapes and red apples?
They happen the same time of year?
It's the anthocyanin pigment that gives them their color that occurs in red apples and purple grapes and autumn leaves.
Really? Okay. So you're a wealth, Patty.
I did my homework.
By the way, Anthony has that sound for us. We'll use it next week. The smackdown sound. Okay, stick around, everyone, because up next, we're talking a very special type of apple here in California and an effort to save it. Back in a moment.
It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the vine to glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. And a very good morning, everyone, on this first full day of autumn. Is how I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to just say it. Autumn instead of fall. Patty, how do you like sharing your birthday with the first full day of fall? I guess it doesn't matter, right?
You know what? I like to forget that it's my birthday, but I really do love fall because I like the weather changes that come with it. And I also enjoy the food, but I always enjoy the food.
Yeah, right. I know. I'll tell you, this time of year is a time of year when I was growing up, so I grew up in this little town. I guess it's still a little town. It's a population around 50,000. A little town, Novato, up in the North Bay. And we would take drives up into the Sebastopol area. And which is in Sonoma County, and it was full of these Gravenstein apple orchards, and we'd stop and we'd get some juice or cider, and maybe pick some apples, and then head home, and then we'd go to that same region to get our Christmas tree every year. We were the type that cut it down ourselves. You too? Yeah, they have Christmas trees in Arizona.
They do up north. We used to go up north and go to the place that we could cut our own trees. Yeah. You had to get a little permit, and then there was an area where you could go find a tree.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, if I travel through the Sebastopol area today, I don't see nearly the number of Gravenstein apple trees as I used to, but I see a lot of wineries.
Yeah.
It's really, really taken off the wine industry. Of course, Sonoma and Napa counties would be along those. And there's nothing wrong with having all the wineries there, but you don't want to lose those Gravenstein apples as well.
Right.
Well, joining us right now to talk a little bit about Gravenstein apples, why they make such great juice, and why it is so important to save the apple is Paula Shatkin with Slow Food Russian River, and they have something called a Presidium program. Paula, welcome to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio.
Thank you. I'm here.
Yes. And now you're in between, say, Sebastopol and the river, right?
And the ocean. I'm in Occidental.
I know Occidental.
Oh.
In fact, we used to eat at a restaurant there called Negri's.
That's still there.
It's still there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, Negri's, wonderful Italian food, family style, fun place. Grace, I can't remember the name of the server that was there. My parents right now are screaming at the top of their lungs saying,
how can you not remember?
How can you not remember? Right. At any rate, Paula, we don't want to get too far off track. The Gravenstein apple, the harvest is winding up right now for that apple, but it's a great apple to press, right?
It is. It makes fabulous juice.
And why is that? What is it? Is it like the acid content, or?
It's just this perfectly balanced apple between sweet and tart. You don't want your juice to be overly sweet, and that's why it's also the best apple sauce and apple pie apple. And it also holds its shape in a pie, which you don't want your pie apples to just be completely mush. So they're just perfect apples for a lot of reasons.
Patty just lit up like a Christmas tree because
I'm giving you the thumbs up.
She makes one of the best apple pies I've ever had.
And it's so important, the texture of the apple.
That's right.
And you have to bake it to a certain point to get all of the other things to happen with the juice and everything so it doesn't fall apart. But then some apples just go to mush, and that's also not good.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Now, Randall, you probably want to ask the same question. Is there a difference between apple juice and apple cider?
My understanding is that there isn't really, that there's hard cider and then there's apple juice or cider.
And you have some people there in your region that make hard cider out of the Gravensteins.
We do. We have a group called Tilted Shed Cider Works that's making a Gravenstein apple cider. And we have a number of new cider makers coming up in our community, planting cider apples and using Gravensteins. It's a new way to increase the value of our apple harvest.
Now, the Gravensteins, were they brought over from another country, or are they native to the area?
They were brought over by the Russians in Fort Ross, and many of us actually have trees that were made from scions, from the original Fort Ross trees.
Wow.
They were thought to have originated in an area of Russia called Jutland. The Germans and the Scandinavians kind of claim them as well.
Right. The Gravenstein's a little bit of a smaller apple.
No, they can be big.
Oh, I'm
They
picturing
can be
a smaller
They can be
one.
big, they can be green, they can be striped, and they can be red.
Oh, really? So they're-
Interesting.
Yeah, kind of all over the place. Now, what is this Presidia program?
Well, slow food, I don't know what you all know about the slow food movement,
I
but
love
it's
it.
an international movement started in Italy, and it has a mechanism called the Presidia, which is the Latin word for fortress. And the idea is to build a fortress around a culturally significant, endangered food by helping the people who grow it or make it establish new markets, new demand, and guarantee a viable future for it.
So the Gravenstein apple then it qualifies as a food that needs to be protected?
It definitely does. And 9 years ago, when we applied to be a Presidia, which has to be approved by the Italians, we drove around our town and took photos of everything that's named Gravenstein because it has to have cultural significance as well. And there are only 600 acres of Graves now, and there were 900 in 2007, and there were 1,300 in 1998.
And if you went back farther, do you know when it peaked?
I don't know. The last crop report I got to was 1998, and that was 1,300 acres of Graves.
So that's less than half?
4,300 acres of apples in 1998, and now we have 21, so it's a little less than half.
Right.
Wow, that's a big difference.
And we feel very strongly about not only saving endangered foods that have cultural significance, and here we have, the Gravenstein Festival and the Gravenstein Highway and the Apple Blossom Parade, so it's got cultural significance, but also we're very concerned about biodiversity. Slow food is in general, and we are up here. And if we become an all-grape community, then we're vulnerable to grape illnesses, and we don't have biodiversity.
Right. And so that makes sense then to save another crop that's there and put a firewall up, like you were saying, to keep the apples from shrinking the land shrinkage from going any further. I was always under the impression that the slow food movement started in the town of Sonoma, but I guess that would be the U.S. version of it?
Yeah, it started in Italy. It started when they were building a McDonald's at the Spanish Steps in Rome, and the Italians stood in mute protest with plates of spaghetti because they were so upset about their food culture being taken over by multinational corporations.
Right, even though the spaghetti came over from China. Right? I mean, originally, Marco Polo brought pasta over.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
and
but
now
I think
we're suffering from apple juice concentrate from China up here.
I bet.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, is one of the problems facing the Gravenstein is just the money isn't there per acre that you could get if you were planting a Zinfandel or something?
That's definitely one of the problems. Yes. And the Gravenstein has a few strikes against it because it's an early apple. People are still eating sweeter stone fruits in August, and the harvest is pretty much August.
Oh, I see.
And people also used to can more, so people would come up here in August and buy tons and tons of apples and can their applesauce for the winter and dry their apples. And there is a resurgence in canning. That's one of the things we're trying to do here. We've gotten a lot of publicity about losing the apple. We have Save the Gravenstein bumper stickers.
Oh, cool.
And we're trying to get people to realize that they could lose it if they don't pay attention, if they don't buy it. We're trying to get apples in the schools. We've got 100 restaurants every year that agree to feature them in their menus.
Oh, that's a great idea. And with the foodie culture there in Sonoma County, hopefully that will take off. Paula Shatkin with Slow Food Russian River. We have a link to their Presidia program for the Gravenstein, and I hope we can generate a little buzz for you, Paula. Thanks for joining us. All right, stick around, everyone, because coming up next, Patty, we are talking cooking in season, which we both love to do.
Love it, love it.
And I'm sure Paula would like this segment, too.
Yes, she would.
Right. So it's fall. We'll talk about cooking in the fall with food expert Molly Watson. That's coming up next here on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio.
The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly.
Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good morning, everyone. Great to have you joining us. 9:33 the time as we talk all things food, beverages, and travel, keeping it sustainable and healthy as we like to do each and every week on Sundays from 8 to 10 right here on this very station. I'm joined by Patty Pyburn, and it's a big happy birthday to her. Hi, Patty.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in on your birthday.
Of course, wouldn't miss it.
And by the way, for those of you listening to our last segment about the Gravenstein apples, when she said she's from Occidental, and I said, "Oh, Negri's restaurant there. We used to go there all the time." And I'm talking about when I was a really little kid, so it's more decades back than I care to say. I couldn't remember the name. I just guessed at the name of the
that it was Grace, right?
There was Grace. And I got it right. You know, Grace worked there for decades. My parents went back, I don't know, like 10 years ago or so. And she was still there. In fact, I think she was just retiring that week or something. So,
oh, that's funny.
At any rate,
Welcome to the program. It is the first full day of fall, which means when you head to the farmer's market or to the produce aisle at your local grocery store, you'll start seeing a shift in what is fresh and local.
That's right.
So, and I don't know, do you do that, Patty, when you're looking at the store? Because there might be something from Chile, there might be something from Argentina, Mexico, wherever it's coming in from. I try to buy local.
Definitely try to do that. And I appreciate the stores that let you know where the produce is coming from.
Yes. And you're seeing that more and more because the trend, it's more than just a, like a flash in the pan sort of thing. This is
people
picking
want
up
to know.
Steam for sure.
Yes.
Well, joining us right now is food expert Molly Watson. I believe she lives in San Francisco and she really knows her fall veggies. I found a great page that she has online to talk all about that. So we're going to go through the different fresh produce that you can find this time of year and how to prepare it. Welcome to the program, Molly.
Hi, happy to be here.
Well, are you in San Francisco? Do I have that right?
I am in San Francisco.
Yeah, she has the same prefix to her phone number that my dad had at his work. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, 552. Yes, I know that prefix. Okay, so you can't turn a corner this time of year without running into some squash, right?
It would be difficult, especially since right now you still have the summer squash in and you have the winter squash starting.
So there's an overlap.
Squash everywhere.
Yeah. In fact, Patty just made some at her house last night.
I did. I made butternut squash last night. That's my son's favorite.
Oh, how'd you make it?
I just roast it in the oven until it gets nice, soft, and squishy, and then I just smush it up with some salt and butter. Honestly, really plain.
Mm-hmm. Delicious.
I love it, though.
It has so much flavor, you don't need to do that much to it.
It's true. It has a lot of natural sweetness, and it's just... I think the mistake people can make is not using quite enough salt to bring that out.
And so, Molly, do you prepare it the similar way to how Patty just explained?
Yeah, I like to roast it. I like to use it in soups, especially if I roast it and you kind of mash it up like that. If there's any extra, I'll use that to add some moisture to like a simple cake or something as well.
Oh.
I like to use it or stir it into soups to sort of thicken them up.
I like to add onions while I'm roasting the
squash.
The squash, garlic and onions on the same pan.
Oh yeah.
And then put all of that and like you were saying, make a soup and then blend it up and add curry.
Oh,
and,
yum.
What's the milk that's concentrated? Not the sweet kind,
but like canned, evaporated.
Like condensed milk.
Yeah, and add that to it, and it gives it. And if you, I know not everyone wants to go non-fat, and I know Patty doesn't for sure.
Yeah.
But but
I was about to say, why don't you just use cream? It's so delicious.
Right. And so if you're trying to make a light version, you can use the non-fat condensed milk or evaporated.
Oh, okay.
And the non-sweet one, whichever one.
Yeah, you don't want the sweetened one. That would
No.
be good.
Okay, so another thing Patty made last night, and we just posted a video recipe online yesterday, is for Brussels sprouts. I hated them as a kid, but I love them now.
And why do you love them now? It's because you're having them roasted, aren't you?
Yes.
That's right.
Exactly. They're prepared differently, and that's become super popular, huh?
Very, yes. What's the recipe you guys put up?
It is you roast them, and then what you do is you also roast Meyer lemons.
Oh, yum!
Wow.
And the Meyer lemons. I'm sorry, you blacken them in a pan with
that's
olive
what I do.
oil. Yeah, and the Meyer lemons get this almost candy texture, and it's the rind from the Meyer
lemon
lemons,
rind.
the zest, and it is. You'll have to check it. It's a video recipe. We talked to a grower, a Brussels sprout grower, who and then explained a little bit on how to select Brussels sprouts at the market. Do you have any tips on that, Molly?
Well, the great thing in California is you really can often find them on the stalk.
That's so cool. They have them at Trader Joe's that way. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it looks really cool. So if you're trying to get kids to eat vegetables, it's great because it looks like it's from Mars or something.
Very intriguing, yes.
Yeah, and they'll last really long if you buy them that way. They'll last a long time once you get them home. You really just want to look for ones that look really fresh. You can tell when vegetables aren't good. They look dried out. Yeah. They look brown. They look beat up. you want
Brussels
really
sprouts,
fresh-looking ones.
You don't want any yellow, except for on the very inside when you cut them in half.
Right.
And when you pinch them, just like, do you remember Don't Squeeze the Charmin commercials?
Right.
You do want to squeeze these, and they want to make a little squeak noise.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, otherwise they're dried out.
So what I like to do very quickly is I clean them, cut them in half, brown them in the skillet in a pan on the stove, add garlic olive oil to do that, and then when they start to cool a little bit, butter, of course, Randall, because everything gets butter in my house.
That's true.
And Parmesan cheese.
Ooh. Oh, delicious. I like to add a little chili in with them if I do that, too, which is good. The other thing I like to do with them is a little different, is shred them. Cut them up.
Oh, right.
And use them as a salad.
Like a cabbage?
Like as if it's a cabbage, yeah.
Interesting.
And so shred them up, and you can do that in a food processor, too, and then to make it go faster.
Interesting.
And then I do a dressing that has like a little chili and a little mint, and maybe add some almonds in with it. It's delicious.
Molly, our audio director, wants to know what type of chili you use with the Brussels sprouts.
If I'm cooking them, it depends on what I have in the house. If I have some like fresh chili, I'll cut that up into some thin slices, but I also will use just those red pepper flakes to add some heat.
Oh, okay. Good.
So you said
Love
you shred them up somewhat like cabbage, and cabbage is something that is in season this time of year.
It is, and the great thing about cabbage, Brussels sprouts are getting all this attention because everyone's discovering they're delicious when you roast them, but they're really just tiny cabbages. So I really like trying to get people to use cabbage as well because it has a longer season. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
And if you buy a head of cabbage and put it in your fridge, it lasts approximately forever. So it's great to have around, it's great to buy at the farmer's market, and it'll be good at the end of the week before you go to the market again. So you can still have fresh vegetables.
I love it.
Molly, we used to get, we've stopped doing it now, but we used to get a CSA box delivered to our house every week, and during the winter, we would get cabbage, and I would put it in the drawer and forget about it, and then in April or something, we're
still there.
Right, we were running out of things to eat, and I was like, "Oh, we have this cabbage. It can't possibly still be good." It was like
it was fine, right?
Yeah, it was like I just picked it up at the store. I was like, "Wow, this is fantastic!" It's
They're
like nature's
storage
Twinkie.
vegetables. They used to be grown and kept in a root cellar through the winter. That's what they are.
Gosh.
I love just cooking them with some butter. Makes it delicious. Almost kind of braising it in butter.
Yeah.
Or I'll do in a pan, saute it with ginger and garlic and black pepper and maybe some potatoes and carrots.
Nice.
And some butter. It's really good. I'll even cut it into wedges, put it on skewers, and just grill it.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I like that.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a really good one.
I like it.
And the cabbage leaves can be used to scoop things and
serve things.
Right.
And of course, you can always just shred it up and pretend it's any kind of lettuce and use it in a salad.
It's true. I like that. Cabbage.
Or on a fish taco.
The versatile vegetable or lettuce. Okay, now we have a couple of minutes left here to talk about fruit because while people think of summer and fruit, fall in California anyway has some great varieties to choose from.
And we're so lucky because we can actually buy locally grown pomegranates, which no one else in the whole country gets to do.
No,
we're very lucky.
I remember when I was a kid, I would say, "This is such a pain. I wish, wish all the seeds were
it was all done for you.
If you could just buy them all together."
And you can
now you can, of course.
Now you can. But now as an adult, I actually kind of like picking them apart and then putting them. We were you over at the house, Patty? We put pomegranate seeds in our champagne, and they float, and then they drop to the bottom, and then they come back up again.
And it's so pretty.
It is.
Very
it's
cool.
Such an easy little cocktail thing to do, too.
A splash of color that is just fantastic. Okay, trivia question for both Molly and Patty. How do you say pomegranate in Spanish?
Pomegranate?
You know, Molly?
I have no idea. That's an awesome question.
It's Granada.
Oh!
Yeah.
I didn't know
There's
that.
a place right around the corner from us here called Granada Bistro, and the Granada Hotel they're putting in
I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
And so I looked it up. I'm like, I wonder what Granada means. And then I'm like, oh, pomegranate.
That's cool.
And when
I
you
love
think
that.
about it, the granite part of pomegranate are the grains that are inside. You know, so Granada. At any rate, I digress. So it's not just apples that are in season this time of year, but are pears a cousin to apples?
They are related, yes.
Okay.
The Gravenstein apple, I heard you guys were talking about it. You can't really beat a Gravenstein apple, but in general, I like pears more than apples.
Pears are delicious.
And they're great to cook with.
They're wonderful to cook with.
My first full-time job as a television news anchor was in Medford, Oregon, in the Rogue Valley, and they have an annual pear parade and festival and all that sort of thing. I think it was the Bartlett, was their big thing there. In California, we have a lot of Bartletts, right? But a wider variety as well.
We do. We grow actually most of the varieties. So we grow the Anjous and Asian pears, Bartletts, Bosque, Comice, and French butter pears, which I adore.
Molly, in 10 seconds, what would you do with a pear that people might not
My favorite
think
thing to do with a pear that you're not going to think of is brown a pork butt, put it in the oven to roast with a bunch of garlic, a bunch of chilies, and then about half an hour before it's done, I throw in a bunch of quartered pears.
Ooh.
It is insanely delicious.
Right,
Yum.
We're all coming over to your house. It's going to take us 4 hours to drive up there, but don't be surprised when we're knocking at your door. Molly Watson, we need to have you back every season. Will you do that for us?
Absolutely. It's great.
Fantastic. We have a link to Molly's About page where she has all sorts of tips regarding cooking in season. All right, stick around, everyone. You know, California has fall color, great fall color, maybe even better than New England. That's right.
Can't wait to hear about
We're
it.
learn all about that straight ahead here on the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network.
It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to SavorCentralCoast.com. The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to SavorCentralCoast.com.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. And a very good morning, 9:49 the time. I'm always sad when we get to our final segment of the show because I feel like we're just getting going. We'll have to expand this to like a 6-hour. Could you imagine?
An all day.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Randall White, Patty Piper, my co-host here on her birthday. And it is the first full day of fall, which means it's time to start making your plans. In fact, you might even be a little bit late in some areas of the state, depending on how high in elevation you are. But the leaves, they are a-changing. And if you think you need to fly all the way to New England to get some beautiful fall color, you need to think again. And John Poimaru joins us right now. He's with CaliforniaFallColor.com. Their slogan is, "Dude, autumn happens here too." I love it. John, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you.
Great to have you here. And you live in the Foothill area?
I do. I live at 800 feet in the Sierra foothills overlooking Folsom Lake.
Oh, beautiful stretch, and you're so close to a wide range of fall color. Well, first off, where does California rank I was just talking about New England. Where do we rank among the states when it comes to fall color?
Okay, Randall, Patty, well, you must understand, I'm biased, but I believe we're number one in the United States, and here's why. You know, the color in California lasts for 4 months. It just doesn't last for 1 week. And often in other parts of the country, the color appears by latitude, whereas in California, it descends by elevation. And that's what gives us such spectacular color, combined with the landscape of California, which makes for truly unbelievable brilliance and spectacular scenes. Our clear skies and blue skies also add to that. Many other parts of the country, you've got gray skies, and that kind of dampens the effect. But in California, we have intense color.
You know, John, you're so right about that, about the variation in altitude, and also where you are in the state can make a big difference in the color. I remember in December one time driving from Santa Maria to Santa Barbara. Along a stretch there's these trees that hug Highway 101.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
So pretty.
And they peak in December, when the rest of the country has bare trees.
Well, I've got to get that report. If you know anybody in that area, or any of your listeners, they've got to call me with that report or put it on a blog to us, because we very rarely get reports from Santa Maria. I would love to cover them as well.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that is a beautiful stretch. And then you add to that, because you're passing a lot of vineyards, and they go through changes as well.
Yeah, it's so
well, Patty, that you're picking up vineyards, and very often people think only of forests, but we have such variety in California that the Napa Valley, down near San Luis Obispo, Atascadero, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, down in Temecula, the entire Monterey County, Santa Cruz County as well. All of those areas have spectacular vineyard color from October into early November.
It's so true. And in the foothills and up in Mendocino, so gorgeous you have so many evergreens up in the Mendocino area, and then you put those splashes of fall color in with that. Now the Sierra is mainly, we're looking at more like yellows, would you say?
No, actually, that's what's surprising to people. They think of the brilliant yellow aspen of Colorado and think, well, California's aspens must be the same. We have quaking aspen, but ours get orange, red, pink, lime, just a variety of flaming colors. In fact, right now, above 9,500 feet at Sabrina Lake, North Lake, and South Lake on the eastern Sierra, that's due west of Bishop, California, we are at peak. And the colors on our website, you can see, are just brilliant. And people who were there this weekend who have sent me reports have just raved about it. And so it starts now. We actually started in August, and it'll continue through December.
Your banner on the top of your website is June Lake, which is in that same area that you're talking about, the eastern slope of the Sierra. I also like Convict Lake right around there is so beautiful. I can't picture if there's trees right there at Convict.
Oh, yes. In Convict Lake, all of the alpine lakes. In fact, if you take US 395, there are a number of canyons, Lundy, Virginia Lakes, Twin Lakes, going all the way up through to Monitor Pass. All of those canyons have fall color, and it's just a matter of knowing when they're showing and timing your trip to be there. That's why California Fall Color is so helpful, because people can go in, see what's going on, and then plan their trip.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing it strategically. So Randall and I did a little trivia contest earlier, and when I was researching my trivia related questions to fall color, I came upon one. I didn't use it, but it said, where do you see the best fall color in the world? And it said Eastern U.S. and parts of Asia. So now I think you're going to argue with that.
Yes,
right?
In fact, there was an article on one of the famous blogs a few years back in which they asked where the best fall color was, and the editor of the blog said the Eastern Sierra of California. And also the U.S. Forest Service did a study, and they said, where's the best fall color in the United States? And both the Eastern Sierra of California and Oregon ranked as the finest fall color. And the reason is, it's not just the color of the trees. It's the contrast with sawtooth peaks, with glaciers up above, with waterfalls cascading down, all of these other incredibly mind-blowing vistas that combine with the color to truly make it spectacular. And we can't, the blue skies, very few places of the country have such consistently blue skies as California does.
Not to mention our beautiful weather to go along with it, right?
Right, and fall is just perfect here in California. It's my favorite season. People will ask me, when do you like going to Yosemite, in the summer? And I go, well, yeah, that's when all the crowds are. Winter is absolutely beautiful, but fall, you have all those deciduous trees in the valley, and like you said, they're then juxtaposed against these towering granite cliffs, which you don't get anywhere else.
And the difference in Yosemite is that you have the dogwood that turned pink, the black oak, which is the perfect Halloween color. From the middle of October is from the 1st to the middle of October is when Yosemite peaks. Sometimes it'll go a little longer later in the month, but you get this orange and black of the black oaks. It's the Halloween color. And then you have, of course, Fremont cottonwood, brilliant gold, and the big leaf maple, which is bright yellow, a number of wonderful colors.
We're speaking with John Poimaru. He has the website CaliforniaFallColor.com. Go there for a visual feast. I have about 10 seconds to ask you this question, John. I know how hard it is to cover the entire state. I try to do it every week, and I can't without help. You can't be everywhere to take these pictures. How do you get all those photos for your site?
I have hundreds of color spotters, and any of your listeners can be one simply by sending me a photograph, and also where the photograph was taken, who they are, and what they saw, what types of trees, that kind of thing. If you see the descriptions on our site, that's what we need. And we have hundreds of people all over California reporting fall color.
I love it. It's a fantastic site. I'm glad I stumbled upon it. And we have a link,
awesome,
as always, at eatdrinkexplore.com. John, thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Let's go look at trees.
I will. In fact, seriously, we've got some out here that'll be changing colors over the out our window behind me throughout the coming months or so. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this first full day of autumn. Another happy birthday to our Patty Pyburn. We love her.
Thank you.
Get out there, enjoy yourself. Thank you to everyone who helped make this show possible. We are back here again next week at this exact same time. We'll catch you then.
You've been listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you missed any of our segments today, look for them online or through our free Apple and Android apps. Catch you back right here next week.